10 years comes at you fast. I'm gonna be truthful with y'all. I don't know if that's something horrible to admit. First time on dating apps. Hey y'all, it's Kathleen and welcome back. I am going to be talking about something very near and dear to me today, which is relationships. Things I've learned being in relationships for 10 years. I haven't been single since I was like 16.
And that makes it 10 years.
Let's get into it. So for context, I started dating actually earlier than 16. I don't really count those relationships just because middle school was a time and
Puberty
is all I have to say, you know? So for context, I had a high school boyfriend, situationships after that. I had a long-term college boyfriend, situationship, a relationship, and then my most recent relationship, which ended in fall last year. And here I am at 26. I haven't fully dated myself yet. That's when I was single for like 3 to 4 months in between those situationships and relationships. I loved it, but then I would find myself in relationships like for 1 to 3 years. 10 years comes at you fast, guys. Today I'm gonna take you through like the journey of that. Also things I have learned. It's gonna be a yap session. I think a good place to start is monogamy. In high school, I was very much in monogamous relationships. Looking back, I'm like, I don't think those worked out for me because I'm gonna be truthful with y'all and I'm not gonna lie, I cheated on every boyfriend I had before 2020. And I don't know if that's something horrible to admit. I feel like anytime someone talks about cheating, they get canceled. And I might cut this out, but hey, I think it's the reality of my situation. And it's a reflection of how broken I was at the time. So just wanted to be honest. I cheated because I was not secure with myself. And clearly the partners I was in relationships with did not meet my needs. Like we didn't meet each other's needs. I feel like I have been through so much in terms of relationships, and while that is not an excuse, it's just like the reality of it, of being like teen and early 20 something in turbulent relationships when you don't know what a stable, secure relationship is like. And luckily I've had those experiences of stable, secure relationships. I definitely learned a lot in high school and college with my monogamous relationship. Fast forward to 2023. There's this article on the New York Times that I stumbled upon that has to do with polyamory, and it's called You're Solo Poly, So You're Single, and it's by Gina Cherelis. She quotes someone on X, and she said, "I hate my generation of men," one woman posted on X. "What do you mean you're solo poly and straight? That's literally just a man." I think that is so funny. Don't think I'll go too deep into this just because so much trendiness surrounding ethical non-monogamy, and I live in a big city, so I think a lot of people participate in E&M just because there's different types of people out here, different types of relationship structures that are more acceptable, I think, in bigger cities. I learned about polyamory in 2023 because some of my friends in San Francisco were polyamorous. To me, polyamory is when you can have more than one partner, and ethical non-monogamy, dating, centering yourself. And that's what it means for me. I know that to some people that's not the case. Don't know that monogamy was a structure in my mind that worked for me at the time, and it might have had to do with the cheating. I really approached polyamory in a queer way. I think my intention with dating ethical non-monogamous people, understand different relationship structures. Like I dated a person who lived with his partner, and that was really interesting to hear about because I learned that they both go on like separate dates. They have to coordinate if they want to bring that person back home. It was really cool hearing about that and like not stigmatizing it and being curious. I really approached E&M in like a queer way where it's like there is a plethora of love I have to give, and that led me to my first time on dating apps. It sounds weird because it's like, Kathleen, what do you mean you first time on dating apps? What do you mean? It's because I was in relationships for all of middle, high school, college, and I met those people in person and through school and dated people that weren't strangers. Like 2023 to now is the first time I've ever dated strangers like off dating apps, and wow, it's a wild, wild west out there. I commend y'all for being on dating apps ever since we were in high school, because people are wild. Yeah, they're bold. They could get into like dating apps in SF versus LA. Let me know if you guys want me to do a video on that. I've learned a lot about codependency. I was listening to Codependent No More, which is written by Melody Beattie, and Jessie Zhang actually wrote this really good New York Times article. Codependency is a toxic myth in addiction recovery. She says, the book popularized the idea that partners and parents of people with addiction have their own disease, codependence, which causes them to act as enablers, contributing to their loved one's continued use of substances. Like a drug, the relationship and its drama helped distract codependents from their own problems, and so they resist change. This book does argue that tough love is the way to help addicts. While this book is written for like codependent wives and their addict partners, I did gain insight around what codependency is. Zhang is like, there is no research behind tough love helping addicts, and I really appreciate that sentiment because I would have to agree. You can't shame yourself or your community into getting better. Although Zhang criticizes the book for being a toxic myth not backed by evidence, addict and partner relationships specifically, I align with this in my relationship to past friendships and romantic relationships. I realized, looking back at my relationships, how codependent I've been in friendships and romantic relationships, whether that's like doing everything together, seeing each other every day, aligning my feelings with theirs to the point of like adopting their emotions and anxieties, not accepting differences between me and my partner, and seeing differences as like a threat. I remember talking to my dear friend Emily, and we are so different like interest-wise, and I expressed that to her. I was like, I know that we have different interests, and like I'm wondering how you feel about that. She was like, I think what matters is if you're a good friend to me, if you are honest with me, do we socialize the same? Like that matters to me. It doesn't matter if I like this and you like this, and every time we take each other to each other's events, it's like a different vibe for each of us. Like that really like warmed my heart, because it's a type of friendship that is so important, like having integrity, being vulnerable, and like being honest with each other are values that I want to take with me moving forward, rather than like,
Oh my god, we're the same and we can do everything together and you feel the same.
like no one is ever the same unless you spend every freaking day with them and you guys become the same person, and that's not fun for anyone because then you don't get a chance to like grow. With this book, I've realized that I wanted a balance of caring for my community intentionally and caring for my friends and family without meddling too much, because I understand that my friends and family are adults and they have their own agency and they're capable, just like I am capable as well. Not saying that codependency is bad either. I know it's embedded in a lot of like Filipino culture. Intentionally stepping away from that to understand my own attachment to my friends and family, and how can I nurture that in myself, if that makes sense. Part is about hindsight and my reflections, which I've kind of been doing this whole time. Reflecting on my past relationships, I was definitely codependent on the people I was dating, and I was willing to risk it all for one person, or like even friendships, meaning like ignore my boundaries, cancel plans for these people even though I didn't want to. Those are the two main things, like boundaries and like absorbing other people's feelings. Like as a highly sensitive person and a Pisces, it's really easy for me to do that. So I'm learning to set more boundaries around there and actually enforce them. How I think about it is like not betraying myself and taking my word seriously for myself. So if I'm making plans and another friend or my partner is like, oh, like why don't we hang out instead, I would have to be like, no, like I've had these plans for a while and I want to spend time with these people and this is my time to spend time with these people. Or even like sticking to dates with myself, scheduling rest days and making sure that I actually stick to that rather than making plans. Like that's staying true to myself. Through codependency, I've had some pretty traumatic romantic relationships, and through friendships and chosen family, I am choosing to heal in the next few years, whether it's through pottery or working out or nurturing my girl friendships. Like, I'm excited for the next few years. I'm also working on feeling those feelings when they come up because, girl, there's 10 years of feelings there. Not that I wasn't in therapy in those years, but girl, 10 years. Lately, I feel like I'm grappling with a lot of anger. I never really had a chance to feel anger in my youth, so I've noticed a lot of people and how they've been angry in their 20s, and I'm all for that, to be honest. Like, we deserve that, especially femmes and like women of color. Like, we deserve to be angry during this stage. Let me know how you guys release anger, because I want to know what else I can do. All I can really do is move forward, take my meds, and go to therapy. But I'm choosing to focus on myself in the next 2 years. Yeah, and I'm gonna insert a reel that Kim Pham shared, and that really like snapped me back into place.
Here's another lesson I learned the hard way. Non-monogamy does not automatically solve any intimacy, attachment, and communication issues you already had. So for most of my 20s, I really struggled with commitment issues, but refused to look at why. Instead, I did some light reading and assumed that non-monogamy was the silver bullet, the modern panacea to what I simply assumed was a structural issue in my relationships. What I learned the hard way is that you simply can't just run away from your trauma, insecurities, and internalized societal crap about relationships, even if you wrap it in non-monogamy. So in the last several years, I am deeply grateful for the work that non-monogamy has asked of me. Interrogating my insecurities, unlearning and relearning ideas of love and its infinite nature, examining and communicating my own needs, and choosing tough conversations with those I love over ease, time and time again. It is good, hard, honest work. This sort of work touches not just my romantic relationships, but really how I build community, centering radical agency and constant self-examination. I'm really glad to do it, and this lesson learned the hard way has brought me closer to myself and those I love. Thanks for listening.
I want to grow in my career. I want to nurture my friendships, and most of all, I want to decenter men. This is the best gift I could give myself at almost 27 years old. I'm so grateful that I get to reflect and share this with y'all. Let me know what you've learned in relationships. Have you felt codependency as well? And what are things you do to feel your anger and feelings? Please let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more life and fashion things and vlogs, and I will see you next week. Bye.